This evening, presidential debate will take place. Those who are gunning for Kenya's top seat will have an opportunity to talk about issues that they feel, and I guess the rest of the nation as well feels, that are important when it comes to their campaigns. Philip KISIA is with us in the studio this morning. I feel like I want to call you Dr. Philip KISIA. I don't know why it feels like it just grounds everything. Your name sounds like it should have a doctor before it.
Well, that is a good challenge. I'm working on it.
Okay.
But I'd rather earn the doctorship than buy it or be given.
Oh, wow. I think you've said we can end the show there. I think there's quite a number of things that you've said with that one statement. But yeah, okay. Philip KISIA is a governance and leadership expert. He's here with us in the studio this morning. Good morning.
Thank you.
Karibu once again to the Situation Room. Tonight is one night that a lot of folks have been waiting for the last, give or take, 1 month, right? The presidential candidates will, duke it out on the platform and have very many things to say, and in some cases, not say. The expectation is high, and we'd like to hear from you off the bat, kind of like an, intro to all of this. What are your thoughts about what should be said or what should not be said, or what should people be looking out for as these gentlemen come on the stage this evening?
Well, thank you, Undu.
There you go.
Well, my expectations are fairly high, like just any other Kenyan. But I'm hoping that we'll see or hear less of entertainment and more time will be spent on real issues that are affecting this country. This year's elections will be premised on leadership and integrity. Integrity. So if more time can be spent on that particular topic, because the other pressing matters like the economy, like job creations, like manufacturing, housing, and so on and so forth. But I think the biggest issue, because all those things we're talking about infrastructure, we're talking about manufacturing, we're talking about job creation. If the issue of integrity is not sorted out in the next 5 years, we are headed south.
It's one thing to say, I am a person of integrity, that my character embodies integrity. It's another thing for people to be able to see it in you. So will it really make a difference if somebody stands on the podium and says, yes, my character is one that, exudes integrity? How do you then convince Kenyans that you are that person and that you will then fight for the same, should you be given the opportunity?
Undu, integrity cannot be bought in a shop.
No.
You either have integrity or you have no integrity. These are things that inculcated in a human being over a period of time. Okay? So, if your history, either in the past or recent past, is tainted, that is you. You cannot change. Okay? You can attempt to change, but will always remember what you did in the past, because, that cannot not be wiped away. Integrity is basically what you say and what it exactly means. What you say and what you do should not be different from what you, the standard must be measured. And people must be able to understand you today, yesterday, and tomorrow. Okay? And, the issues of integrity are well known. When you are lacking in integrity, people can see through you. People can understand you. People are not fools. People know that this is not how they expect you to operate within their society.
Yeah.
Because their norms, their traditions in which people operate in a community. And you see, when you talk about a community, we're now talking about the global community.
Yeah.
It's not the community is no longer localized. So you can't say that that I can lower the bar on integrity issues when it comes to this particular area, but when I cross over the other area, that I'll be a better person. Integrity, you either have it or you don't have it. There's no other way of defining integrity. There's no in between.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that I have found puzzling and disturbing is that when I look at our politicians, and I look at the politicians who are perhaps better known than others, or I look at politicians in our whole political sphere, the only way the word integrity comes into force is if I'm juxtaposing it and trying to indicate or prove a complete annulment of that particular term. Then, because is it when somebody
You're looking for X.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it when somebody has been found guilty by a competent court? Is it when they've been mentioned? Is it when there is a whiff of misdeeds by this person? Is it that when they have a case in court which is ongoing? Is it when they've had cases which were never concluded? Because the things I'm mentioning are things that you can attach to some of the leading lights in our political sphere.
Yeah.
So, who then, if I may use a biblical analogy, he that is not guilty, who then can throw the first stone here?
Who's without sin? I mean,
Yes.
look at the 4 gentlemen that are going to be spoken to tonight, of course, given that who has said they will not attend. However, look at that and who is at the point, and I think this is the question, and that Kenyans are looking for that last thing beyond the entertainment that, of course, folks are also looking for an escape route, perhaps from all the other issues that we face for this debate. And beyond that, that the real issues that will then be on the podium tonight, who would you say then, and is that what we should be looking for? Who would you say then that passes the mark? And is that what Kenyans should be looking for tonight when they're spoken to about these several issues across board? Is that what you should be looking for? That this person is the one that's going to hold our interests at heart and also has a clean record when it comes to operation?
Exactly. You could not have put it better. The biggest question that we'll be dealing with, that from the 4, who can you trust? Who has demonstrated in the past that he can do what he has said, that he means what he's saying? And who among the 4 has a poor record? I mean, the other 2 gentlemen, I think, is my brother Wajakoyo, and the other one is Maura, I think.
Waihiga.
Maure, yeah.
Maura. Is it?
Maure.
Waihiga.
Waihiga.
Yes.
I have. I don't have much to say about them because I don't know them that well. But I think I've been around for some time to make very informed decisions and to say what I'm able to say today and tomorrow about the other 2 gentlemen. I've worked with them. I've worked with Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga during the Grand Coalition, and I know what we're able to achieve. For the first time, during that tenure, this country at least came up with a vision that is now driving this nation. For the first time, Kenyans took corruption very seriously, and they started fighting corruption. The issue of fighting corruption was not left to the ethics or the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission.
Yeah.
But it went back to the people, and we saw people taking action against the police and so on and so forth. I've also worked with the Deputy President.
Yes.
I can say a few things about him. Yeah, so, I mean, the record of these 2 gentlemen is in the public domain. There's nothing new that we can say about them. So it's up to Kenyans to decide. We, as Kenyans, and I'm one of them, we know the challenges that are facing this nation.
Yeah.
We know where we're being pinched. We know where we've gone wrong in the last 10 years. And we know who has the capacity to correct the mistakes that have been made in the last 10 years. But not only just correcting mistakes, somebody who can build from where Uhuru is living. Because I am one of the persons who does not believe in taking this thing I call zero approach to management. The zero mentality approach. That you are saying, you're saying that the guy who was there did nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I'm starting from zero. In fact, I'm going to undo whatever this guy did.
You think that you need to build on what somebody has done?
Any manager who has been a manager for the last 10 years, okay? Any manager has a score. And for sure, Uhuru's score cannot be 0. Uhuru's score on a scale of 10, depending on who is marking the exam, some will give him 6, some will give him 7, and so on and so forth. But you don't start from 0. You don't say he has done nothing, that I'm going to start afresh. In any event, the programs that Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has been rolling out are the programs for the Kenyan people. They're actually anchored in Vision 2030. So you're not telling us anything new. As a driver, and I'm talking the two, front runners, His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga and His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, that there's nothing you can change. Don't talk about your vision. Talk about our shared vision, which you already crafted. We crafted this vision more than 20 years ago. So we have, almost 20 years ago. So we have a shared vision. You are coming in as a driver to implement our vision. Okay? So you should be telling us that these are the strategies I have to conclude all you desired in Vision 2030 in the next 7-8 years. Okay? So it's a change of tact. Uhuru had his strategy and tactics. You, as a new driver, you are coming up with new strategies and new tactics to deliver on the vision of this country.
Do you think that the debate allows an opportunity then to give a last, punch at sharing these little tidbits with the rest of the nation? Does the debate not provide an opportunity to have that done?
Undu. I hope I'm getting that challenge.
Yes, you're doing very well. You've improved since 9 o'clock.
The progress is laudable.
It's fantastic. Some people have tried for years and have not reached where you are.
So, you see, that should be the desired position.
Yeah.
That our politics should be based on ideology. Our politics should be based on programs and manifestos. Okay? That is where we should aim for, going into the future. Our politics should be detribalised. Okay? Because currently, the truth of the matter, and we may not want to admit, but I'm one of the few Kenyans who have admitted that our Kenyan politics is so tribal that people vote for you not because you're competent, not because you can do the job, but because you come from their tribe. I can tell you 95% without blinking that 95% of the people in Nyanza will vote for Raila. Maybe 99%. Same thing will happen in Rift Valley. So the other Kenyans will be left to decide who among the two can cater for our interests. So we need to move from tribal politics. Number two, the parties need to be, we need to make our parties stronger so that we know this particular party, Party X, stands for this particular ideology. That's what they stand for. And given a chance, this is what they are able to roll out through a manifesto that they have developed. Okay? So, and then finally, and which is very dangerous, I've seen, because when I put in my foot in Westlands, people no longer want to listen to you. People will tell you, listen, we've heard you. Thank you very much.
I'll talk to you later.
But what are you leaving us with now? Forget about those programs. Give us something to eat now. So that culture of being so desperate to the point that you want to sell your vote with a paltry 200 bob and then you suffer for 5 years is a culture that we really must move out from.
But Philip, do you really think that then the debates and what you would be able to tell Kenyans in this last mile will persuade them to make that decision based on what you say in that 1.5 hours?
Unfortunately not. People have made up their minds. They know which side they're voting. But as I said, we must start from somewhere. I can't remember why I say this, but I and my institution, that is NCBD, we were the first people to organize for presidential debate way back in 2002. But unfortunately, that time, the late President Mwai Kibaki was indisposed, and therefore, I think his team decided that he could not participate. Although Kibaki was a great debater, On the other side, of course, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta was ready for the debate. But you see, the mere fact that Mwai Kibaki never attended that debate because of reasons best known to the team, that didn't change anything. We actually voted in Kibaki with a huge majority. But you see, we should not get discouraged. We must start from somewhere. You know, the debate we had 5 years ago, if you compare to what has been organized now, it is much better. If you look at the interest level, you know, even the debates, the interest level is amazing.
It's high. It's
extremely high. People are looking forward.
Absolutely.
So that should be the starting point. Don't get discouraged. People are saying, okay, we want to hear this. Maybe in the coming elections, say, we not only want to hear what they're saying, but after listening to them, we'll make informed decisions. So we've started from somewhere.
So what does it portend if one of the main players on this stage has already said that he will not attend the debate tonight? What will happen?
Well, the other part...
If we're saying, Philip, that we are starting from somewhere, right? And the encouragement is start from somewhere, all right? The excitement factor is really high. And then one of the main players is not going to appear. What does that mean?
Well, you see, nothing will change. Whether the two of them, the four of them attend, nothing much will change. But I'm saying that at least there's a debate taking place, that at least Kenyans are interested in the debate. They're showing interest. You can imagine if there was no interest.
Yeah.
Just imagine that, you've spent all this time, you've spent all these resources to put up a fantastic opportunity for these people to debate, and there's no interest. So we already have a buy-in from the Kenyan people.
Yes.
That Kenyans are saying, there's an opportunity for us to listen to these people. I'm hoping that going forward, Kenyans will say, we just don't want to listen to them, but we'll make decisions based on what
they're saying.
Yeah, based on what we've heard from them.
Let me ask a different question. If I look at the preponderance of candidates who are vying under the banner of independence, it has increased. Does it then perhaps answer in part the question that you raised without asking, that people may not necessarily be thinking parties in line with the tribe, but looking at the individual?
Yes, you're right to a certain extent that people are saying, listen, look at me as an individual. Look at what I'm able to deliver for you. Don't look at the party. Don't look at my tribe. And that's why. But let me tell you, the number of independent candidates has increased, not because of anything. In my view, the number has increased because of lack of internal democracy, transparency in the way our parties are operating. So you can be a good candidate, but if your sponsors think that they either disagree with you in terms of philosophy, and they lock you out, and you still think that you can present yourself as an independent, why not take that space? But in future, I'm hoping that even if it doesn't happen within our time, because me and you, Charlie, our journey to meet our Creator
is beckoning.
Yes. But I'm hoping that going into the future, that really the parties, we build the capacities within the party, we encourage democracy to thrive within the parties, and we start having parties standing for something. You see, if you look at from independence, how many political parties have we had? How many? Other than KANU, which survived, how many? Every other election, somebody is forming a vehicle for convenience. Ruto had 10 years ago, he had is it what, URP or something?
It was URP.
URP. His Excellency the President had TNA. Then, for convenience purposes, they joined together to defeat Raila. They formed Jubilee. In fact, the only person who seems to have been consistent for the last 15 years, I would say 15, is Raila Amolo Odinga. He is stuck with his ODM. So maybe we need to encourage more ODMs. Yeah.
Well, all right. At this point, I want to take a break and continue with this conversation. Kenya's biggest conversation continues. We're in the studio today with Philip KISIA, who I've decided. I mean, I've decided it should be called Doctor. So, you can think about that even after today. Philip KISIA is with us today, and we're looking at impact of debates. This what the forecast looks like. Who then will probably make the most impact with what he says tonight? We're going to continue after we take a look at weather and traffic.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Presidential debate tonight, which, by the way, will be aired on SpiceFM between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. It'll also be on Facebook, YouTube, and on Spice. You can actually save it on Pocket by Mozilla and have that update for you later. So that should not be a problem tonight. So the presidential debate will be aired on SpiceFM tonight. Will you be watching the debate? Talk to us as we talk to Philip KISIA this morning in the studio about what your thoughts are, what your expectation, what is your forecast from the debate tonight. 0719 012 600 will take your calls as the conversation continues. So it's interesting that the question has come through, Philip. And if we're saying that people are more or less decided on what their choice is when it comes to this election, and saying that it is good for people to have an interest in the debate, why watch it?
Well, as I said, that the mere fact that people have an interest, it is something that we must be happy and proud about. Okay? The opposite would have been worse, that you've organized this and people have no interest. So, building on that interest going forward, I'm sure now through using this same media that we people have, the media houses, we start educating the population that don't just use these debates as a form of entertainment.
Yes.
But use this debate, use this time very carefully, analyze what these people are saying, and use that same information to make informed decisions. So I'm saying it's a building block. When you start building a house, you don't start from the roof. You start from the foundation. So you guys are building the foundation. Let us build on that foundation that you built. That will now translate in future into people using the same information that these people are giving us to make informed decisions.
Yes.
Right? So it is not time wasted. It is something that is good. And maybe, you never know, if 1% of the viewers change their minds after watching this debate, you never know. I think, again, the media told us that the deputy presidential candidates debate was viewed by over 34 million people.
Yes.
So maybe you need to get deeper a bit into the analysis to find out, from those people, how many were potential voters? From those, how many were converted after watching the debate? I think that's some of the things that you can be looking at going forward.
There's a unique element in this election, something that has not been seen before, is the factor of the voters who are determined as undecided. And you look at it across, whether it is a gubernatorial races, whether it's a presidential race, there is a sizable number of people who are indicated as undecided. Perhaps it is this group who maybe while watching a debate may decide. Or again, remember, even before this debate and even after the debate, the candidates have been going around the country. So perhaps they are convinced, even as these aspirants go around the country to sell whatever it is that they wish the voter to understand about them. But of significance, somebody mentioned that the issue of the rights that you have as a Kenyan voter or as a citizen, when it is incumbent upon people who are competing to actually come and tell you, explain to you and convince you, not just in rallies, but in different forums, I think it shows a shift, yes, but the even bigger shift is now voters forming themselves into groups and actually asking the potential contestants to come and tell us. Now, this particular debate represents such a view where, yes, it is televised, but essentially it is that. It's not a small group of people, but it is the whole country saying, okay, fine, we've heard you at rallies now. Tell us what it is that you want. So it does represent change. But the question that I myself am not certain about the response to is, are we seeing a situation where the Kenyan voter has gotten to a point where they want to vote outside the traditional voting lines that they followed for the longest time? Are they willing to actually look at a person and say, this person, let's forget the party affiliation, let's forget the community they come from, but this individual, is this the individual that I'd like to support? I don't have a response to that because I'm not certain. And when you look at the polls, I'm even less certain. You see, there's a poll that I'm sure the intelligence service takes, that one is not made public, so we do not know about it. But I'd be interested to know what they have to say.
Yeah, I think Charlie is quite right, but this is what I have to add. That is it that we have a huge number of undecided voters because one, maybe they just don't want to vote. They're they're not interested. That the apathy level is so high. Two, is it that they are waiting for direction? Because there are those who are waiting, say, tunaongoja tuambiwe, tutaenda njia gani? And even start from the family. Because once the head of family has whipped a certain direction, they will all, is it possible? And then the elephant in the room. Could it be that they are waiting for money? Because money is a huge influencer in these elections. They are waiting. Mimi nikikula yako, nitakupigia. Kama sijakula yako, sitakupigia. So is it that they are waiting for people?
Hata kama nikikula yako, sitakupigia.
No, I can tell you.
Ask CT has said to me many times.
I can, you know, Charlie.
Eat here,
Charlie
don't
and you
vote.
are not in that. There are those who are waiting. Say okay, and I can tell you.
When you give me
where
something, then I will go and vote for you.
I can tell you for free. I have had people, even here in Nairobi, they say, I will vote for the one who gives me something. The one I've eaten from. You know, I can't betray that trust that he'll give me something. The one who is promising me, that one I'll consider some other time. Okay? Then there's another very dangerous group. Because, when I was, fighting for nominations under ODM in Westlands, there's a very dangerous group, the youth, who are almost 40% of the voting bloc. The majority of them, I can tell you, they are not interested in these elections.
They're not interested in the election,
They are
or they're
not
not interested in. There's two different things, Philip.
They are not
interested in this whole process of the election, or they're not interested in who will become president.
They don't even care. I'm telling you, they are not interested. They don't even. And because I was engaging them, I find out, why would you not vote? And yet voting is your democratic right. Say, can you tell me how we have gained in the last 5 or 10 years? It has not changed our lives. We're still living the same way we were living 10 years ago. And what makes you believe that if I vote this time round, anything will change for me? So the voter apathy is so high among us, the youth. Again, a lot of work needs to be done to the youth. So I'm hoping that the next president, will bring in hope to the youth and demonstrate that when you are given an opportunity to serve in public office is not about you, but is about service to the people. That people must feel you. People must feel the results. People must see change, positive change in their lives. Otherwise, the levels of undecided voters will continue going up.
So beyond just saying that there's nothing they have seen that, as they argue, has changed their lives, is there anything else that you heard them say? The reason why I'm asking this is because you're talking about the youth whom we find in the towns or in the city. But the bulk of the youth are not in the city. The bulk of the youth in this country in the rural areas. I'm asking the question, do you think they share the same view?
I can tell you, youth are youth. And there's a very small difference between the youth who are living in towns and the youth who are living in the rural areas. They suffer the same challenges: lack of jobs, lack of opportunities, lack of funding, lack of capital rather, to start their little, So the fate that is befalling the youth in towns is the same fate befalling the youth in the rural areas. So I can tell you because they go the same, they get the same education. Their thinking is almost the same. Of course, probably the ones in the cities have a better advantage because of the exposure, but they're on the same plate.
You see, at the end of the day, this youth conversation didn't start with this election. It's been there for quite some time. In fact, it started when I was a youth. I am no longer youthful.
No?
Far from it.
Oh, okay.
Philip is laughing because it is true.
Yeah.
It started when we were in that bracket of people under the age of, say, even 25.
Yeah.
And you're told you're the leaders of tomorrow. Now, let me say this as somebody who was a former youth. This thing is never given to you, okay? It's not something you sit back and it arrives at you. There is a lot you need to do. And perhaps where the youth, if what Philip is saying is true, where, in my opinion, they're making a mistake is the opportunity to bring about change is the one that they're reneging on.
Correct.
Because if they utilize those numbers to actually vote in the people they think can bring about change, the change they talk about, they can participate in bringing it about.
Because unfortunately, when somebody says that this is your opportunity, I think the image that then plays out in the mind is that you will be the one sitting in the position of MCA or governor, but without realizing that you can play a participatory role in leadership and governance.
Yes.
You don't have to be the person seated there, but you can play an adequate role that then an adequate enough role that then determines who or what will rule over you, will lead you, will govern you. And I think that there is the misconception in many cases that, right, when they're saying it's our time, then how many of us really have been president? Without realizing that you can play a part in the process, And so these are the processes that we're talking about. So even tonight, as somebody speaking to you about one thing or the other, then how can you be involved in that? And in as much as, yes, it's a start, it's somewhere that you can build off of, isn't it just taking even interest in what these folks are saying about what they want to do, should they be given an opportunity? Even taking that interest in hearing what it is that they have to say, I think is extremely important. Though I do feel as though 2002, where we are now, is centuries away from what it was 5 years ago, where there was really little to no interest whatsoever. You're not going to be able, for example, Philip, to walk into any peri-urban part of Kenya today and say, vote for me because I will build your road, and people are just going to take it sitting down. I think that has changed significantly, that people are looking at different things today and realizing that what you may have told them in the past has definitely shifted to the realities that they face today.
If you look at, say, for instance, the leaders we have in this country, there's something that perhaps history teaches us, and maybe a little interest in history would do this. Many of the leaders we had at independence, those people who were under 30, they were not in their 40s. There were a few people who were well above 40, but many of them were actually young. And they are the people who nurtured and midwife this country and brought it to the point where it eventually got to. So it isn't as though we haven't had youthful leaders in this country. We have. Even this presidency is considered youthful. Okay? Now, if you are unwilling to understand the 360 approach to solving a problem, and the one thing that you have and it's been given to you, and the one thing that you can use to actually bring about change is the very thing you renege on and you decide you're abandoning. How then do you think this change that you want will ever come about?
Yeah. You see, again, using you in the media, we need to remind those who are still youthful that refusal to vote is not a protest. It is basically a surrender. Like, just to paraphrase Keith Ellison, okay? So you are not helping yourself by refusing to vote. You just need to take cast your vote, but while casting it, cast the vote based on somebody's ability to deliver your dream. So the youth need to take a keener interest on what is going on. This laissez-faire attitude that, I don't really care on what is going to happen. It is not us who is sitting there. You see, we cannot all sit in a position of leadership, but we can be represented. We can make sure that the person who is sitting in a position of leadership reflects our aspiration.
Indeed. Let's hear from Ali. Ali is on the line from Mombasa. Ali, good morning. Hello, Ali.
Yes, good
Yes.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
Very well. How are you?
City,
Yes, Bwana Ali.
I have a problem with you.
Uh-huh.
You are saying I should not be a leader. All of us will never be a leader,
Yes.
as into MPs or governors or whatever we call it. And the issue that the gentleman is saying that we could be leaders in our places. Let's say I have an MCA, and I advise him and I show him what we need over here. I mobilize the people to come and tell him we need water in this situation room ward. But unfortunately, these leaders who have been elected, when they get people like me who is mobilizing people to say the needs that they want, they end up making themselves ghosts by fearing that I'm looking for an MCA position come next term. Or if it is an MP, they always look at that way. And whenever I'm advising our elected leaders, they always feel and fear comes into them that this person who is collecting people and telling us what these people want, they want to take over our position. I think you have understand me, City, over there.
I understand you very well.
That is what I was trying to say. Youth, when they say we are not going to vote, they ended up somewhere there. Or all the people like me, when they say that I'm not going to vote anymore, I voted for 5 times, that is 20 years or 30 years. Right now, I don't see anything. There is a place that I have reached and decided that kuliko nianze kupigana mawe na mtu na nini, let me pull myself out. Let these people see whatever we have done.
Okay.
By say I'm not voting. No, I always pray my country to remain impeacefully, whether I'm voting or not. Peace is the one that I am now doing as a leader.
All right.
Sitaki kuona hati City yako Mombasa na wewe Jaluo kwenda Kisumu. Sitaki kuona Eric Latif hati yako Mombasa, wewe Kikuyu rudi sijui Muranga, no. Sijui Msika Linturi huko Mombasa, wewe rudi, no. What I want to see is that at the end of the day, the election imefika njia imeenda zake, we are going to sit together, neighbors, contributing to one another's life for the next 5 years.
Thank you for your comments.
That is what I'm looking for. If it is for them to ask us to be leaders, they will always be afraid.
Asante
that
sana,
is my
Ali.
contribution.
Thank you very much for your contributions this morning, Ali Asante. Well,
But if you're a good mobilizer, a would-be leader has every right to be scared of you. Because if you're mobilizing, what if you mobilize for yourself? I mean, that's the thinking.
Correct.
And I would argue that is a fairly well-tuned politician who understands where the danger can come from. But, you see, it's not just mobilizing. Something that we've seen when we had committees who represent Langata and South Sea who came to this studio. Now, they formed themselves into grouping where they are calling the potential candidates to come and present their case to them.
yeah.
You see? And the good thing is that the candidates are presenting themselves. It represents a change. What Philippa said is true. We see changes. It may come slowly, but we are seeing it. In this election, we are seeing things that we have not seen in other elections. By the time the citizenry, as I said, for me, I don't need to hear changes in 10 constituencies. I just need it in one, and I know change has arrived. And for me, the whistle was blown. The gauntlet was thrown in Kericho. When the people of Kericho decided that there's a certain gentleman, a university don, whom they wanted to support. And support literally, meaning they gave him the materials, they donated money. Now, that is actually how it ought to be. The crux of our election is that the politician is always dishing out money, whereas instead, these parties ought to be supporting their candidates in standing so that the membership contributes the money to the party so that the party actually has the money now. That gives the party the energy and the strength. But so long as our parties are the province and the properties of individuals, then this whole conversation, and unfortunately, much as we can talk here, it will it won't change much.
Let's hear from Mina before we continue. Mina, good morning.
Morning to you guys.
Yes. How are you?
I'm fairly fine.
Your contribution to this?
I'm saying that Raila Amolo Odinga should present himself to the debate, because actually, in my view, in the marketplace of idea, all vendors have an equal right to sell what they believe. But that does not mean all their ideas are equally right. Let him come to the debate, and then after listening, then people will decide. Because actually, when you are placed on a match, then you fail to represent yourself. There is an walkover. People are waiting eagerly to see how these guys are going to promise care, and failing to be on the debate actually something bad. That is what I can say.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments, Mina. Thank you for that. Well, I mean, I think the call is across the board that everybody participate. Everybody participate in the debate tonight to hear, last call. You know how they say last call before we shut it down. And everybody say, look, have an opportunity to tell Kenyans.
So what is it that people are complaining about? That the anticipation isn't being fulfilled, that the debate will help them make up their minds, that there'll be any significant shift in the way that they are already thinking? I mean, what is it?
Philip, what do you have?
Let me probably just make a quick comment before I add on to what my brother said. Ali, you're a good mobilizer, for sure. And that's why probably you pose a threat to any potential candidate. And therefore, instead of mobilizing for others, mobilize for yourself. And pick up one of those seats, be it MCA or MP. And I agree with you that peace is paramount, because elections will come and go. Therefore, again, I thank you for promoting peace in your region. But this is what you can do as a voter. As a voter, you have a right to hold the person you put in office accountable. These people need to be reporting back to the masses on a quarterly basis. Kibaki introduced that culture where people are reporting back on a quarterly basis based on what had been agreed. You report back, you tell us why there are gaps and how you intend to fill the gaps. So probably as maybe Raila takes over, hopefully, he can also reintroduce the performance management system. For minor,
why don't you say perhaps if Dr. Ruto takes over, he could also introduce
perhaps
that?
If Dr. Ruto takes over,
yes,
he can also change his style so that he really focuses on performance management and avoid this situation where you have sycophants around you, because they'll not take you on. So for minor, I'm sure His Excellency Raila has heard you. It's sound advice. And his team, if they have not heard, then I'll remind them that there's a minor who has said it's important that His Excellency Raila presents himself for the debate.
Indeed.
For whatever reason.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how the evening will play out. And then, of course, everybody's waiting to see what will be said or not said. Philip, we have to thank you for joining us today. Really good to have your insights as usual. And it's a wait and see thing right now. So asante sana for joining us on Kenya's Biggest Conversation